there is no way to get around talking about what happened on Friday with regard to the reporting about Shohei Ohtani's whereabouts and what he was doing with regard to his choice of team. There was a report by JP Hornstra on Dodgers Nation saying that Ohtani had chosen his team and that it was the Blue Jays. And there was a report by John Morosi saying that Ohtani was on a flight from Orange County to Toronto, presumably to either close the deal or I don't know, whatever it might have been. But it should have been a good sign if he was indeed on that flight for the Blue Jays. Obviously, both reports were proven to be inaccurate. And what happened was embarrassing. It was a poor reflection on our industry. It was whatever you want to call it. You would be justified in being upset as a fan. I want to preface what I'm about to say with a few things. One, I'm friends with John Morosi. I worked with him at Fox. He is a great guy, and he is someone that has really come a long way in the business. We were at foxsports.com together for a number of years. I don't know JP Hornstra as well. I know him, but not as well. And the other thing I want to say before I get into this, we all make mistakes in our jobs. You make them. I make them. No one is perfect. Now, I'm not saying that to excuse what happened. There's no excuse for what happened. There's no question about that. It should never happen. But this is the kind of thing that occasionally happens in the Twitter era. Fans want information in real time. Reporters are trying to give them information in real time. Everything gets sped up. And it leads, frankly, to more sloppiness than existed in the days before the internet when we were, well, most of us were just writing for newspapers that came out the next day. Now, I've talked about my worst mistake, reporting that the Padres were close to getting Max Scherzer at the 2021 deadline. I have since learned that I got played by one source and that I placed too much value in the words of another. It was not excusable. I have to own it. I have to live with it. And to this day, it haunts me, and it will always haunt me. I am not happy about what happened. Shouldn't have happened. It was bad judgment on my part. But in this day and age, there are very few of us who haven't been caught in the same situation. And yes, the bigger the stakes, the more careful you should be. Anything you want to say along those lines, I'm good with. You're right. The question people have often is, what is the value in being first on Twitter? And honestly, I'm not so sure anymore. I don't know that I was ever so sure. Most transactions can be confirmed in a matter of minutes. I don't know anyone who remembers who breaks what, who's keeping score out there. And I've said on various platforms, now I've said it on this show and other places as well, my goal, at least in the last couple of years, is not so much to break stories on Twitter. It's to write stories that cannot be confirmed in a matter of minutes. Stories that really people can't touch. Obviously, the most outstanding example of this in my career was the story I wrote with Evan Drellick about the Astros sign-stealing scandal. Couldn't make a phone call and say, hey, can you confirm this? No, there was too much to it. And even the story I wrote last week, the one about Ohtani being in Dunedin, Florida at the Blue Jays spring training complex, writing that he was believed to be there, that qualified as well. That could not be confirmed so easily. In fact, I don't know that it's been confirmed yet. So when you look at the whole picture here, in some ways, I should be the last person to complain about Twitter. In many ways, Twitter raised my profile to a place where it hadn't been previously, even though I was at Fox on television. But in recent years, the length that baseball writers will go to get scoops has changed. Reporting is built on relationships. But the question now often becomes, how far are you willing to go to maintain access to get information? Now, I get amused when I see people commenting on my stories, my columns, as they did after the Ohtani column, after he signed, saying, Ken, you're a shill, you're a bootlicker, you're this, you're that, the other thing. Guys, MLB Network declined to bring me back in 2022 because I was none of those things. There are two prominent agents right now who won't talk to me because I am none of those things. And there were two other prominent agents who went, I don't know, about a year, maybe a year and a half without talking to me because I am none of those things. It's just the way it is. If you're going to report, you're going to upset people. You're going to upset fans from time to time. Things happen. That's the nature of journalism. The nature of journalism, the intent, is not simply to be nice to people so they will give you information. And that, to me, has been something that has been going on for a while now. Now, the choices I've made, they've hurt me in some ways. There's no question about it. And I've had to live with that. And I'm not going to sit here on my high horse and tell you I'm the greatest. Like I said earlier, I am not perfect. It's a hard game, man. It's a hard game to be right all the time. It's a hard game simply to just go day by day and grind it out. But I've concluded over the years that journalism has to come first. That's what we're here to do. And the speed is important. The quickness of reporting something. No one can deny it. People want that. And you guys out there telling me we don't care? No, you care. That's why you're on Twitter in the first place. But as much as speed might be important, accuracy and honesty are more important, and they always will be.